Brian, who is the angel that cleared the sidewalks on Baird Street?
We're part of Baird Street.
East Baird, the 800 and 900 block?
I don't know.
When I
That worked out. Everything's rolling out already.
Gee, where's Angie today? Is it
Talking
that
about
cold?
longest
Is Angie
Wednesday in the Dickens Festival, and like, oh yeah, we gotta get on that holiday.
I don't know.
On that.
We good?
Yep.
All set? All right. Well, we'll call this meeting of the Holly Village Parks Commission to order at 7:01 on February 7th. Can you do a roll call, please?
Cangetter?
Here.
Peltonen?
Here.
Hutchins?
Here.
Lease?
Here?
McCanny?
Here.
Rankin?
Here. We do have a full complement tonight. Does anybody have any changes to the agenda for tonight? I have one minor change. The Kaboom update actually isn't old business, it's new business, but that doesn't, we can still go in the same order.
Okay.
Does anybody else have anything that they would like to add or change? Or move to accept?
Support. Or do you want
That was a request for a motion.
Oh, that was a request.
So moved.
Okay. All in favor of approving the agenda for tonight, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. Minutes from January 3rd, 2018's meeting. Does anybody have any concerns, questions, or corrections that they would like to point out from the minutes of last month's meeting? I will move to accept the approval of the minutes from the January 3rd, 2018 meeting.
Support.
Mr. Cangetter has the support. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Do we have any public comment, Rick?
Observation, that's it.
Oh.
Okay, so no public comment. Okay, so our old business, since we had a kind of a short, we were short-staffed with the commission last month, we decided to postpone so we could get all of the people together and pick our chair and co-chair. Does anybody have any suggestions for chair and co-chair? You're ruining my suggestion, which was to make you, Mr. Cangetter, the chair. For those of you that don't know, Mr. Cangetter will be leaving us after this evening.
Oh. Permanently? Oh. Sorry to hear that.
So we will have two positions to fill on the Parks Commission. Any suggestions?
Would you be willing to take it again, Chris?
I would be happy to continue on as chair.
Well, then I move that we elect Chris.
I'll second that.
I could third that.
Okay, and then who shall we select as the chair, the co-chair? Keeping
Sarah. Dear Sarah.
Sarah, would
Do
you
that? I should
would
take
would,
a turn.
would you take that position this year?
Sure.
Okay,
That
so
was easy.
well, all in favor of appointing myself, Mr. Rankin, to the chair and Ms. McCanny to the co-chair. I think we can just do this as a voice vote. Say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Check that off the list. All right, down to new business. Kaboom update. We recently got a letter from the Kaboom organization telling us that they're basically taking their organization on a hiatus.
Yeah, we got a copy of that one.
Did you all get a copy of the letter and yeah, okay, so you're all aware of the situation. That doesn't mean that we're going to stop doing the community play day. I think that's pretty much become ingrained in our culture and our annual events. So we'll still be doing the community play day. It just won't be sponsored by Kaboom. Not that they were really doing anything to sponsor us. Quite honestly, I was going to suggest that we not reapply to the organization because they have been unable to help us in any significant way, actually in any way. I mean, the two grants that we applied for through them, we were denied because the average or the median income of the area is too high.
Oh, we're too rich.
And their big thing is helping areas of kids that are living in poverty, and we, even though we have a couple of areas that are a little lower income than the median of the area. The total median, the average or the median income of the area is just too high for them to consider helping us with anything.
I had a long phone call with Kaboom last year. They called me to just get some feedback.
Yeah.
I don't know why. It was called my number, and I answered, and I didn't realize it was a solicitor call, but it turned out it was Kaboom. And they're a West Coast-based organization, and currently, because of their size, their donors are handpicking where they want their donations to go. So he told me, in all honesty, the likelihood of ever getting a grant approved in Michigan,
No.
because they don't have any donors in Michigan, unless we wanted to procure our own Kaboom donor.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I was like, oh, okay. And I asked them, was there any advantage to longevity? Are you guys pushing out to be over towards the East Coast or even, the Midwest? And he said, no, we would like to do that. I said, well, would there be any advantage we would have by being long-standing members? Would that bump us up on the ability to get grants eventually? And he said, I don't know about that.
So that's
So
a
I
no.
didn't really see how it was there was any advantage either when they were.
Well, and the upside is there's also no cost. I mean, there's just an
Right.
application that has to be filled out every year.
Right, but I
All
mean,
of
they didn't have
all the
any value
documents.
to us.
There really wasn't any value to it, but there wasn't any costs. So I mean,
Do what you pay for.
yeah, we we didn't really put any money into it.
Right.
There was
It really won't affect
it took
us
me about an
one way or
hour to fill out the application each year. So that was, but knowing that we're not going to ever get anything from them other than emails, I don't know that continuing with them is but since they're on hiatus at this point anyways, I don't know that it'll even, that it may just wither and die.
Yeah. Okay.
But we can revisit this maybe at the end of the year or the beginning of next year and see where we're at with it. And it's not like we're going to go around and take down the signs or anything.
No,
I was just
no.
going to ask that. Do we want to discuss removing signage or anything like that, or no?
Now, they're going to fade to white pretty soon by themselves, so I don't think it's really going to matter. They're pretty faded. I know the one coming into the village from the east is
Well,
it's
I
gone
think
from
that we-
purple to
Yeah.
it's real thin.
Well, rather than leaving it just looking like an eyesore, we might as well remove it if we're not going to replace it.
Yeah, we don't want to look tacky.
Yeah, I don't see us replacing
Got
the
enough
signs.
signs for
but-
other stuff.
Yeah.
When it comes time, when you feel it's time, we don't care if it comes down.
The next one that gets knocked off by the snowplow, don't bother putting it back
If it
up.
looks
Yeah,
tacky,
it's all right.
Brian,
We're good with that.
take it down.
Okay, let's get into our budget discussion. Did anybody bring any items, any budget ideas?
I actually had a comment to piggyback on one of your ideas. For
Which
your
one of my
boardwalk-
ideas?
Your boardwalk idea
Okay,
for, is that Bevins?
Yeah.
Ganshaw.
Ganshaw.
Bevins Lake,
Bevins
yes.
Lake. So the contact that we had that came out and did our parks walkthrough with us last year from Oakland County, the gentleman that came out had a hand in assisting with all the grants for Groveland Park, because they have a boardwalk going out to the lake. So I would say if you can get in touch with him, if you still have his email, to get in touch with him, he should be able to help benefit and get grants.
What's the
set up.
chances you remember his name?
I would have to look back in notes, which would probably give me a day or two.
Yeah, well, I'll be doing some research on,
What was that, Jim Dunleavy?
there you go.
That sounds about right.
Yeah,
County Parks
yeah, actually, I may have his card.
walkthrough.
Well, he had a direct hand in assisting with getting the grants set up and filed for Groveland for them to get their boardwalk out, including, I believe he did mention something about being in talks with DNR, EQ, whatever, for
Yeah.
everything for permits, all that jazz. So, and me being in favor of that grand idea, I think it would be a great addition to the village and
Yep.
the park.
So I don't have I had a handout that I had printed up, but my car's in the shop and I left it in my car. I didn't bring it with me. But I basically had 4 items on my list, my wish list for budget. Brian, if you just want to write these down, I can email them to you later. $2,000 for the Music in the Parks program. For the so I don't think we'll need quite that much, but I think at $500 to $800 per concert if we do 3 or 4 of them, I think we'll be right there. And I've got 3 kind of capital improvement projects that I've separated out, but they may just all go under one umbrella. One is the retaining wall at least for the planters at Crapo. Although I think Brian, you and I have talked about doing the semicircle in front of the pavilion.
Yeah.
And making that at like a 2-step, 2-tier or 2-step. What's the word I'm looking for?
Tier.
2-tiered, yeah. So I think if we put a $10,000 capital improvement wish list together, we could probably use a bunch of that in Crapo.
I've prepared the preliminary budget and I put $15K in there. And
Okay.
Jerry Walker questioned it, so if I come back with
10, maybe he'll be like, oh, okay.
well, he said 5, and I said,
Oh.
well, I know
Meet him
we had-
halfway.
because there's still a lot of money in there from last year, but I
Right,
think
'cause we
still
didn't
have
use-
some stuff to
yeah.
do in the spring that'll eat that money up. So
Okay, good. So then I also would like us to improve the signage primarily at Waterworks Park. Now that we're working on, or not we, but now that that park is it's the headwaters of the Shiawassee River Trail, and it's going to become a national river trail or national paddling trail or whatever it's going to be called. It'll be on the National Register. It's going to.
are they going to have any signage available through their group that we could purchase, or are they going to get a discount on that kind of stuff that I could coordinate with somebody?
They do have, well, they have a logo and they have some like river signage that they're putting together. There's another meeting later this month. There's another meeting coming up in the next few weeks that I'll be attending, and I
They
can.
just have something standard that they're going to do at each landing or something like that that we can.
Yeah, I don't. You know what? I don't know if they have. Yeah, I don't know if they have it for the landings and stuff. I know they'll have like mile markers and stuff in the river for the boaters. I just don't know if they're going to have stuff for the landings and the launches.
Or if they have some parameters that we can use to
Right.
create a sign, so
Yeah.
if they want certain information on there or that kind of stuff.
2 little things that I would like to see is to have river or signs with the Shiawassee River at the river crossing at both of the river where the river goes under the road.
Mhm.
You can pick one or the other or both. And then another one I would like to see is the little brown canoe signs that for the canoe launch, so that everybody knows that it's a canoe kayak launch there. Because you can't really, if you don't know it's there, you would never know it was there because it's kind of the launch is kind of buried. Then the other thing I would like to see in our budget is, and Jerry tells me it'll run about $2,500, but I would like to see us do the engineering for that boardwalk in Ganshaw.
What now? Say it again.
So there's about Jerry tells me there'll be about $2,500 to do the engineering.
To build
The engineering just for like the drawings
Planning.
and the planning.
Yeah, that's what I'm talking about.
Yeah,
The
for the-
architects. Yeah, okay.
For the boardwalk, yeah,
Gotcha.
for the boardwalk at Ganshaw.
Just
So I'd
a
like to
minute.
see those things in there.
Well, he didn't totally reject, he just questioned it, so now I have some ideas.
Right, so you can fill them in on what, because, I mean, I tried to stay at about 15, so that's, and then, like I said, I don't know what else anybody else had in mind. If anybody else brought a wish list.
I don't know how much is involved, or even if there is any money involved, or if it's already been secured, but getting the sign back for Crapo. And
The one in
getting
the flower bed?
Yeah, the one in the flower bed, and then also the historic marker that has to get repaired or get a new
Legs.
legs.
I did send something to Joe from Calypso, and I'm trying to remember if he sent me something back on that or not, because I know I gave some new cemetery signs. So I'll check my emails to see if he sent something back.
Yeah, I
We
mean,
discussed-
we waited for it all last year and we never saw it.
Yeah.
Right. We discussed too about possibly changing the name on the sign to be the full name as opposed to just the last name. Remember that? We were discussing about the possibility of.
Governor something.
It's Henry, isn't it? Henry something
I think it's
Crapo.
Henry H.
Henry Crapo.
Crapo. Is it
Henry
H?
Crapo.
Henry Crapo Park or Henry H. Crapo Park, instead of it just being Crapo
Crapo.
Park.
Yeah.
I think
think
we should
there'd be
get the
less-
governor in there too. I mean, that makes
Yes,
it more important.
that's right. We did say that. Yeah, you're right. Governor Henry H. Crapo Park, and then people can abbreviate it however they want to. But if the sign reflects the full name, not just the historical marker. The historical marker is pretty clear,
It's
Yeah.
done.
but that's not what you see when you pull in.
Okay.
Possible to add some benches for Lakeside
We talked about
with
that
some of the
last
fencing.
time.
That's what, that's in this year's budget. Me and Chris, once the weather breaks, are gonna go out there and get a definite plan, so I know how many benches to order and. then we-
Based off of our fiscal year from
Last year.
Yes.
Right.
That goes
Yeah,
all the way
that-
till June 30th.
So.
And those were already
depending
in
on
there.
how many we might be able to get through that, maybe add some more into next if we're not able to get enough. Or
Yeah, well,
the
Well,
idea is still to
the idea, I
perimeter
think-
around.
Well, the idea I think Brian and I had at this point was to pick 4 or 5 or 6 benches, put them in a section of fence, take that section of fence out.
Right. So I'm saying with that, with 2017's fiscal year, now with 2018's fiscal year, maybe get some more
Right.
to finalize the full barrier.
And the
Yes.
paint for Ganshaw is in this year's budget.
Paint for Ganshaw for the
Gazebo.
this-
You still have
paint's
it.
probably still
Yeah.
sitting at the depot or at the
Okay,
at
so-
the DPW.
We just
Go
need
ahead, budget.
better weather.
Yes, we just can't paint in the snow.
Oh,
The other thing that we discussed too, at Lakeside Park, was taking down the chain link fence, but I don't think that would cost us any. We don't have to budget for that, right?
Well,
Not
that'd be-
unless you wanted to replace, I would definitely replace it with something, not necessarily chain link, but split rail or some kind of
Just-
decorative fence.
Just something to delineate the
Yeah,
space.
Just so people don't start parking out there, because we do have issues with
People would park there.
pulling
Yeah,
through there.
people
for
would definitely pull up to the park. They'd pull right next to the basketball court
Yeah,
or
they would.
the
The pavilion, parties.
or the pavilions. They'd just pull they'd pull
So
right in
then
there.
That would cost, so then we could budget for that.
Yeah, but split rail fence is not terribly expensive.
It's only
I
good
think-
for about 25 to 30 years.
If that,
That's good.
if
Yeah.
that. Dan put it around
But
the
it's
community
cheap.
ed building. It lasted about 5 years, maybe. It was gone.
I know that Headwaters Trails replaced, I don't know, 2 or 3 sections at Waterworks, and it cost like $250.
I think we did that at Ganshaw since I've been here, and I think that was under $1,000 to do that 200-foot run, so.
And that Ganshaw, it looks good still. It's holding
No.
up pretty good there.
Yeah, I think a fence at Lakeside would probably see a little more abuse.
It would.
Oh, definitely.
People would definitely jump it coming in.
Walk it more, so, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, if we put a split
Balance
rail
on
or
it.
something up there, we'd leave a lot more gaps, for people to walk through, so that didn't have to.
Right.
try to avoid that.
Yeah, maybe we could just do that at every put a 3-foot gap between every section.
There you go. Yeah, it's not meant to, it's
Right.
just meant to stop cars.
Right, it just
Deter cars.
not that it would stop a car, but
Right.
neither is a chain link fence, so
Right.
you can drive right through a chain link.
But I'd love to see that happen before the 4th of July, if we could even just take down. Or would that be a problem with the cars though?
Could we
Yeah,
Got it.
4th of
could
July,
we
yeah.
take down the sections that have bushes and trees planted closely together?
We could take a look at it when we do the walk around up there and see
Okay.
if there's.
Yeah, yeah.
I know Jerry mentioned that too, that would be something.
Yeah, because that 6-foot fence is just ugly. It's
No,
Yeah.
don't disagree.
so we'll do
It's
something.
ugly and it's pointless. It doesn't fence anything in.
Any other items under the budget discussion, Joe?
One comment on the boardwalk.
Yes, sir.
Back in the 90s, when we first were looking at that, there was a rendition done. It was going to be a T pier, a T boardwalk, so you could fish out there. And somebody had done a pretty nice drawing. It probably got tossed. It was in the archives for quite a few years.
Right.
It is? Yeah, it was pretty nice. And it should have happened back then, but it was a little too political back then. Because I think DNR, DEQ would have bought it into it back then for that, for Ganshaw or for...
And they didn't want it at all.
Huh?
They didn't want it at all.
Well, DNR was pretty enthused about it. We got quite a bit of flack from people
on the lake.
on the lake because
Well,
there
then
is no public access on.
Right, but
on
the DNR were concerned
those.
about that fin, because there's a lot of, rare
Yeah,
plants that go.
we had more discussions on that with the DEQ and their people, and they said it'd be a little disruptive in the installation, but the fen would repair itself around it. So that was the big selling point, was people could see what a fen was about.
And
plus
stay off it.
yeah, exactly.
Right, without walking through it, and that's
Yeah.
and that's the angle I think we should emphasize.
We're
is
trying
that,
to preserve.
right, at this point, there's a trail that goes out there, and people stomp all over it, and they walk wherever they want to walk. Whereas if we put this up, there'll be a specific place that, yes, that 6 foot wide section isn't going to be a fen, but it won't be a trampled fen either. It'll
Well,
just
you figure that really disrupts that fen too. It could probably be 12 foot wide of disruption against a 4 or 6 or 8 foot wide
boardwalk.
boardwalk. Yeah, and
Right.
that's what we. Our
And
final.
and the boardwalk doesn't fan out.
No.
Like all the trails do that go out into that fen.
And that's what our last discussions were with the DNR and DEQ was protecting the fen because it wasn't used that much. But the biggest thing we had was people on that lake. The only access was on the west side, and they cut that off real quick.
Yeah.
I
And-
thought, and I could very well be wrong, but I thought in Michigan that every lake had to have a public access.
No, doesn't have to have a public access. But if it's a public lake, you can walk 3 feet from the water's edge on land.
Yeah.
But like we used to fish in downtown Ortonville in the creek.
Yeah.
The only way you could get in there was park on Seymour Road, and they didn't put up no parking signs. And you had to walk your waders into the creek. You could walk down through Ortonville. People
In the
come out,
Kersley Creek you're talking about?
and the people come out and cuss at us and stuff. You're trespassing. We said no. We came in off of Seymour Road. And we catch brook trout up in there. Yeah. So yeah,
I have a
there's
friend who has a beautiful home on Lake Huron, and people can walk that beach all they want. The beach belongs
Yeah.
to the people.
Yeah, to the high water
So
line.
back to the split rail fence for Lakeside, what is the dollar amount that maybe we should allocate for that in 2018?
What do you think, Brian?
I'd have to get some measurements and then get some costs from curtains, because that's what we got from before, so, or I can get some costs from,
How long ago did you say we installed that?
I'm gonna say about 5 or 6 years ago.
Oh, okay.
And then I could get some costs from Complete Fence that go with some kind of decorative fence, the white PVC fence, and there's no maintenance on it, except when someone breaks it, but,
Right. Yeah, because those are really nice.
yeah.
Those are really nice, yeah. I think
They've
they're
got-
also very expensive, much more expensive than the split rail.
that's what's
Right,
out
but
at
they
the
last forever.
middle school
Yes.
is
Unless you
vinyl
want-
fence.
Yeah.
Pretty nice out
Unless you
there.
break them.
I don't think they're as expensive anymore as
No.
what they used to be originally. I mean, it depends, I think there's several different gauges or
Yeah.
styles to it,
Mhm.
so,
I mean, they're basically just a wood post, and you take a plastic section and
slide it over, yeah.
Yeah.
And
It's like putting your socks on.
then
Okay, well,
the
we can
boards
look
just
into
slide
that.
through, so,
Yeah.
in the pockets, put cams on.
Are you leaving the area? Oh.
While we were discussing the Shiawassee River crossing, are we going to
right.
are we going to get signage on the Shiawassee River and the mill pond? That was brought up in some meetings before. They say there are mill ponds there. It's a body of water. Nobody knows. I think that's Stiff's mill pond.
Stiff's, yeah.
Yeah. And we're
But yeah, and that would be another thing that we should get a sign for. I don't think signs are terribly expensive. I mean, I can't imagine they're more than a couple. I mean, if it was a couple $100 a piece, I'd be surprised.
The canoe signs and probably the Shiawassee River sign are fairly expensive. If you wanted something to say, Stiff's Mill Pond with a little bit of history, that might be a little bit more.
Right.
But, because that's considered a specialty sign, and it's an individual sign, but the canoe signs are a standard blank that.
Right.
you know,
Yeah, I think, and I think under the part of the mill race that goes under Broad Street and then under the Waterworks building, I think if we had a sign there that said the headwaters of the Shiawassee River as opposed to just Shiawassee River, point out that it's the headwaters because that's how the National River Trail is going to present it.
You might get an argument from Springfield Township because they think they are the headwaters.
Well, actually, the mill pond in downtown Davisburg is the headwaters
is.
of the Shiawassee
It
River.
is.
So that is the headwater.
Okay, so we could be the headwaters of the Shiawassee National River Trail,
Yeah.
Whatever.
because that's what we would be.
Because they used to canoe race all the way up to Davisburg and back and hit
Oh,
the
yeah.
mill pond when once around come back.
Have we? Well, never. Another day.
Yeah, let's move on.
Any other budget items going once?
I have a suggestion. If there is possibility of getting any additional money, I think that, and I don't know specifically what to apply it to, but it's really unusual that we have a separate committee that's helping us with beautifying our parks. And I think that it would be, if nothing more, a lovely gesture if the Parks Commission could come in and fund something in Cyclone Park, because there's been so much happening there. And I think, and I don't know what the exact plan is or what's going to be happening for this year, but even if we can help contribute some money towards flowers or anything that could be done,
Sure.
even if it's nothing more than just a gesture, because I think it's awfully commendable to have these people stepping up and taking responsibility for the
Now,
parks.
what group is that?
The Cyclone, what's the name of it?
Friends of Central.
Cyclone Park beautification.
Okay. Sounds good.
But if there's a possibility even to put a nominal amount, maybe $1,000 or
Yeah.
something towards maybe an existing project that they're trying to fundraise for, I think that would be very great use of the funds as well.
Or maybe a plaque or a sign pointing out the fact that it's maintained by.
Yes. Yep. Just, I think any contribution financially, if it is possible.
We can help with the wood chips.
Well, actually, Brian and I, hopefully I'll meet with him in the next month or two about the trail
Right.
that we're planning on putting around it. And what Sarah suggests would be great, because we'd like to plant flowers all the way around that trail,
Oh, that'd be
beautify the trail, so, families, can, walk 1 mile trail or 3/4 mile trail, get exercise and that sort of thing. And we are planning on doing some fundraisers this winter, do some kiosks along that trail, and there will be educational kiosks. And what we're hoping to do is plant flowers along each one of those kiosks. And I think the first kiosks we're planning on putting in will be for military dogs, or the dogs in our military.
Great.
But in the future, we'll have kiosks on the architecture of Holly, so on, it's just about anything.
Right. Well, that's good. We'll have to get together,
Yeah,
put together a meeting so we can.
I go over it, sure.
Been a while since we've met.
Yeah.
Chris?
Yes, sir.
While we're on signage and Cyclone, there's a lot of history to Cyclone Park, and there should be a sign for signage of Cyclone Park and a little history, and then when it was formed, who donated the property, why it's called Cyclone Park. You know, that would be kind of nice.
History.
So you're offering to write up a little paragraph about the history of it that we could put on a sign?
I don't know that much history about Cyclone
It's
Park.
in one of the.
Neither does
Hollywood-
anybody else in this room.
Yeah.
No, it's
I
in one
know.
of the Hollywood
I think
books.
you're
It's
the
all
one that
written
told
out.
us the story
All we'd have
about
to
it.
do is get it.
Right, but somebody's got to
We're
find
recording
it.
this, so we can't jot everything down.
Yeah. I'll
So
check around and
see if
some
you
of
can
the
find
some historians.
That
and
would be a really
and put
nice
together a.
contribution that the Parks Commission could do, the village could do.
I agree.
To help with Cyclone is, putting up a nice prominent sign about what Cyclone is. And on that sign, we could put, some sort of an acknowledgement of the Friends of Cyclone Park.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And also with Ganshaw Park. Everybody goes, who was Ganshaw? Or what is Ganshaw? It was Aaron Ganshaw. He
Right.
was our inspector. So there should be something noteworthy and keep our history alive while somebody can still figure out the history of
Yeah.
what was named what.
Yeah, it'd be nice to have a little historical sign by the
Jennifer,
pavilion
I'm sure, would be glad to
or
do
gazebo.
that. That's his daughter. Would do
Yeah.
that, sure.
Yeah.
And she's a teacher, so she would.
Because we already know
Can you
about
contact her and
Sure.
She's
have
one of the
her
volunteers
put
with
something
Springfield
together
does
that
the
we
H.
can maybe
Hmm?
put on a
She's what?
sign.
One of the volunteers that does the H. in the
Yeah.
city.
one of the two volunteers does the age. She used to be council person.
Yeah, for a long time.
Yeah.
Okay. Moving on, number 2, the Shiawassee National River Coalition Riverfest. At the last Shiawassee National River Trail meeting, National River Trail Coalition meeting, they expressed interest in having Riverfest at Waterworks Park in 2019 and 2020.
Wow, how many people is that?
Between 800 and 1,000
Ooh.
throughout the day.
We have a problem with parking.
Well, we always have a
Had to have
problem with
shuttle
parking.
bus.
Shuttle bus.
I know.
So,
Well, there's parking a quarter mile away at Crapo. It's not a long
Plenty.
walk. It's a 5-minute walk.
Yeah, there's plenty of parking there.
Yeah. I mean,
well, they used to have the Pro Bowl canoe races there, and they used to pack the Pro Bowl canoe races.
Yeah.
Everybody'd park up and down the Broad Street for
Oh, yeah.
forever. And geez, I think there was probably, a couple hundred boat racers, canoe racers. So, plus the audience. So,
That's amazing. That's a great opportunity for Holly.
absolutely, and that's one of the reasons I think we should focus a little bit on Waterworks Park this year. Get the signage in place. I've got some plans for the parking lot. So
I have some suggestions too, so when
Good.
we can talk about those too.
Okay,
Yeah.
well, we're going into that right now.
so we need to do something. Yeah, the future of Waterworks is the next issue. But anyways, that is so this year the Riverfest is in Linden, and last year it was in Linden. The 2 years prior to that it was in Fenton. And they want to keep moving it around to the communities along the Shiawassee, and
That's great.
so they want to bring it here next year and the year after,
What does
2019
that,
and
what does that
2020.
entail for us? Do we have any responsibilities in hosting? Do we need to arrange shuttles?
No, nobody really had any specifics,
Pretty much take care.
but I would like to. I'm
Start
going to
the
go to
trend.
Riverfest this year out in Linden and kind of get a feel for what it
Thinking the
is.
same thing, yeah.
I can tell you when it is. I think it's.
Because it would be awesome too if we did arrange the shuttles. We could arrange that there was a shuttle stop right
Yeah,
downtown.
We could start a trend.
Right.
And on the way to the parking, you could stop and eat. Or
So Riverfest is June 24th this year, and it's in Linden at their Mill Pond
No.
Dam. They've got things going on upstream in the Mill Pond and then downstream in the river.
there's a little
They
trail
have
going.
canoeing and kayaking classes. They have vendors and food and activities going on, and so it's just kind of a down home kind of event.
have you been to the Linden canoe place?
Briefly, and years ago I
All
went
that
there
canoe.
in the winter and took pictures of the dam. So
Okay.
they don't have much parking either, for what it's worth. They've probably got 40 spaces in a parking lot
No, they
on
don't. Yeah.
either side of
Right.
the river.
So just in relation to almost what we're going to talk about next about the future of Waterworks, it's a really great idea this summer to go there, rent a canoe, and just look at what they're doing with the building that's right there on the river. It would be an awesome opportunity for our property.
Who's doing with what building?
They have
Who's
there's a private company that has a canoe rental right there on the river, and
In
that's
Linden?
yes.
Okay, thank you.
Downtown
That's where I was
Linden.
wondering. I didn't know where you were talking about.
That's where you're gonna go for the Riverfest, right?
Right. Well,
Yeah.
they have in Linden. They have it in that downtown block that's empty where the building burned down, and
Yeah.
they're going. They won't be able to do it in 2019 because I think they're going to start construction on a new
Sure.
complex on that corner.
Scuttlebutt anyway.
But it's a really nice establishment, and it's a perfect use for a piece of property that's so close to the river like that. And it's exactly what we have. We could do the same thing.
And do they just have? I mean, do they have a building? Do they bring in a temporary
Yep.
hut?
Nope, it's a building. But it's possible that we could rent out the building if we have it rebuilt.
Right.
We could rent out the building to a private company that maybe would like to run a canoe. What do you
Right,
call
right.
it? Livery?
Livery. Canoe rental.
Well, when I was there last summer, I was like, this is what we need in Holly. This is amazing. So nice.
I think we get a lot of use.
And if somebody wanted to take that business venture on, I would welcome with open arms.
Yeah, no, I know,
if somebody
me
wanted
too.
to bring something like that.
It's a business
to
venture. It's not something the Parks Commission could run. It's not
Yeah, I
something the
don't-
village could run. I mean, it's got liability, and plus you need to have it manned, and you have to, you know.
Well, and you've got to have.
But it's definitely,
You gotta have
they have a
inventory.
going concern there, and they have the best prices around. They're way better than Milford.
But we have a business in mind that we would have a business that would fit a business model that we're looking for. So we can have like maybe Jerry or Katie search some feelers out there to see if there's anybody that would like to open such a business. And if they are looking for a place, we have opportunities.
Right, yeah. Sorry for sidetracking.
No, that's fine. Because those two and three kind of tie in together.
But yeah, I put that on my calendar. I think I might try to go to that River Fest as well, at least just to scope out what's the scope of the event, what do we need to,
What should we expect?
Too.
Yeah, I have a feeling it'll be about. I think it'll be similar in size and scope to the community play day was like last year, like that type of environment, but with vendors and obviously a little different slant on what's going, the activities that are going on.
Right.
More
That's
of
the
an
day
adult
after
thing.
longest market day, the 24th.
Oh, okay. So, and then moving into the future of Waterworks Park. Well, we've kind of touched on a bunch of that already, but upgrading the parking lot is something that we're going to need to do, sooner or later, because of the increased volume. I think that's going to of park users that are going to be coming through the area, and they're going to be using Waterworks Park, and they're going to be dropping off canoes, and they're going to be parking one car there, one car in Fenton. They'll canoe between the two of them. So we're going to need some space one way or another. And maybe, do we still own like that? There's like a little parking lot on the other side of the street, down two houses.
Morris Fine?
No,
Arboretum?
the Morris Fine's on the other side of the river, but that little, you know what I'm talking about? That little pullout, is that village property?
Yes, but you will get chased out of there by that.
Oh, really?
By that dude.
It's just a dirt parking lot.
Right, yeah.
So I guess my thought process was we could have overflow parking there,
Yes.
and if we
Legally, yes.
delineated the parking lot
Could be a
so that
PR flag.
everybody knew not to go into the neighbor's yard,
Oh, you can't blame them
put
for
up some
that.
parking blocks or
We need
something,
another
and
sign.
well, yeah, I mean, you'd need a sign that said overflow parking this way.
Or split rail fence.
That don't walk away.
Just some orange
We'll have some
cones.
extras.
Yeah.
Just some orange cones that say, stay off the neighbor's lawn.
Right.
Yeah, well, just a couple of parking blocks and maybe a sign that says, private property past this sign, or
I'm imagining probably that would happen on its own, because wouldn't you think that people are also going to be parking all along the road illegally?
right.
Oh, they
And
will.
then that's just a
Well,
place
I don't
you could
think
fit.
it's is it illegal to park along Broad? I don't think there's any no parking signs. I wouldn't want my car on
It's
Broad,
not
but
wide enough, really.
Yeah, there's not enough shoulder
It's-
in a lot of spots.
There's not, yeah, but I think that people
There's just
probably
that one
will.
little spot.
Well, they did during the canoe races.
right.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, there's a shoulder on most of it. You'd be
Yeah.
parking on somebody's grass half the
Well,
time,
on
but
Waterworks, actually.
Yeah.
yeah, and especially in front of Waterworks, there's enough room. But
Okay.
Chris?
yes, sir.
One more comment on Waterworks while we're there.
Yeah, well, we're
Almost all of our parks have a rainy day cover, a gazebo. Now, if you look at the Township Beach, our only gazebo not gazebo, our
Pavilion.
only pavilion there is you could rent that pavilion out for canoe, kayak rental, whatever else. What we used to do with ours, we still do today. If you go by there, you'll see we got this quickie sections of chain link fence that we can hang in there. It's on frames, because we used to put all of our stuff in there, and we used to even put our rafts in there. We don't do that no more on big old sawhorses. But why they used chain link fence wasn't to keep the banditos out; it was to keep the leaves out. But you could actually, the DPW could chain link that and make them so you could take them off, like a couple of them, so somebody could use that as a fair weather or summertime storage unit or a business for kayak rental, or use half of it as that,
right.
so it could be used for something, because we don't have a gazebo down there.
No.
But you could secure that off. Up in Sorensen Park, we have a pavilion up there, and the back part of it, I think it's 8 foot or 10 foot ended. That's our ball shack up there, because the other one finally fell down. But we locked that up and put all of our field equipment up in there, and our chalkers and stuff like that. So that we might want to look at a possibility of putting up a pole building.
I think Brian should just build a pavilion on the north side of the parking lot. Should put that together for us, Brian.
They do
Right
such a
on
good
that
job building them, you know. Yeah. So that might be something we could look at. That we could rent out half of it as a kayak rental or storage or something like that.
Yeah, I think the problem with the idea of having the kayak and canoe rental at Waterworks is that there isn't any structure that's usable for anything. You'd have
No,
to have,
there ain't
you'd
nothing.
basically have to bring in a trailer.
Yeah.
You know, like a trailer, like a construction trailer. You know, those
Yep.
temporary,
Right.
little tiny, portable.
Is
Like
there,
a,
is there
portable
any
office.
electricity
Yeah,
on that property at all, in that park?
There's a line going.
There was to the building?
There's a power line going to the building.
But there's no outlets or anything like that, or on any, because there are others, is there lighting? There's lighting, right?
In the building?
No, not in the building, but in the
No.
park.
There's no power at all. Okay.
I doubt it.
No.
Does
They just shut it off.
I'm old in there.
yeah,
Right.
rotten wood.
No, I wasn't talking about the building, but like lampposts. Are there any, there's no lampposts even, right? Okay.
That's the other thing we should talk about is putting like the downtown lampposts along the road down that way in front of that park.
Yes. There's no reason why, if we do consider stretching Battle Alley across the tracks all the way down Martha Street, which I think would be a huge enhancement for Crapo Park.
Mm-hmm.
There's no reason why we can't do the same thing, stretching Broad Street down.
Or at least picking up at Crapo Park like we do at where we've got the posts at Ganshaw, but they're not all the way down Saginaw, but they
Yeah.
are in front of Ganshaw at least.
Yeah, and have them match.
Yeah, and we could get those
Right,
same,
yeah.
get
Speaking of
6 of
lighting.
those and put them along the side of the road.
Add a split rail fence to Crapo. What's the deal with the split rail fence this year?
The school should do something with the lighting here.
It'll be our
Those parking
thing.
lots are dark.
All
People
the
are
parks
stumbling
match.
around out there, but that's the school's problem.
Yeah,
Wouldn't the main street drags be a part of DDA? For lighting?
What's that?
well, but the lighting I think should be in the park.
Yeah,
In the
I
park
think
would
it's
I don't
all-
think we
yeah.
should put those lampposts out by the street. I think we should tuck those behind the split rail fence at Waterworks. I think that would, or along, so that it's kind of along the trail at the front edge,
Right.
and then maybe have one on either side of the parking lot, but, back off the road a little ways.
But I am on the DDA design committee working on that.
You know
Oh.
where I thought I saw
Yeah, so
some
am I.
lamp posts?
I know, I missed the last one.
Is that- I missed that before.
I'm listening, Gail, go ahead.
Um,
Sorry, we're,
They were laying down next to the
Next to 504.5.
Yeah.
what's that?
Cyclone
Cyclone
Park.
Park.
Yeah,
What was laying down?
some
Light
light
posts.
posts.
Oh, we've
The
got,
Dickens
yeah, I know we have a
Festival is
couple.
Those are the old ones. The Dickens Festival is going to use them, but they were not able to use them because they're too big
Oh,
to use as props. They're too
Also,
heavy.
when you're looking at lamp
Oh, I
posts
mean, these are real.
for
I know.
waterworks,
But
what about
there's the
solar?
old ones that were
Is it
taken out.
really not cost effective to go to solar down through there? Because they could always be converted back to electric.
oh, I
Turn
see.
the props.
As opposed to running the
Is there
electricity
solar?
to them, yeah.
They're real. They're
Yeah.
heavy, they're
I don't know.
too-
Solar ain't cheap, but it's getting cheaper by the day.
Well, I know, but it'd be useful for the park,
Yes.
waterworks.
Yeah. I looked at that, but we don't have enough, right? There was
Oh.
I think there's 4 or 5 that are at that park, and
That's
then
a good
that's it,
amount.
right?
Yeah, and they're not
I
whole.
didn't know.
They're not whole. There's pieces missing off them, and those are obsolete. So trying to get parts for them.
Yeah.
So we're better off scrapping those.
And and 4 is
Okay.
really not enough for all that space.
I mean, if we've got a
You
lamppost
wouldn't
that's
do it
40
on
years
all
old and
match.
nobody makes any parts for it, it doesn't match whatever else we have, there's really no point in keeping it.
Right. By the time you put your heads on them, and
You might as well have bought new ones.
I see.
They're good to sell off as parts for somebody who's got matching ones. or
Somebody else who has some
or-
old, find some, call Milford, see if they've got some old ones they want.
Yeah, or somebody
Want
wanted
parts for.
something like that for their yard or
Yeah,
something.
sure.
Mm.
You had priced out those lamp posts previously.
well, I know a couple of them got hit in insurance jobs.
Yeah.
And they're pricey. They're like 3,000. I think it's $3,000 sticks.
Yeah, I remember I was thinking $2,500 that was the number I had in my head, but
Yeah, they're not cheap,
no, they're not.
Nothing is.
because they're cast, so once you break them, they're
Yeah.
done. They're not like you can
Right.
weld them up or,
Are they cast iron?
no, they're.
Cast aluminum? Oh, okay.
But the village was looking at doing the upgrades to Alley Street.
Mm-hmm.
And then one of the upgrades that they're looking at doing, which isn't gonna be this year, it's not the first upgrade they're gonna do to Alley Street, but the next one would be to add in the lampposts. So if we can piggyback, so I was talking to Jerry about doing the Martha Street and doing, well, and you get a better price if we can buy.
Triple
the-
our order, maybe we could get 20% off the total,
Yeah.
or, you
Well,
know.
yeah, that's what he was thinking. It's a possibility, we would have to ask, but
Right.
Sure.
it's not a this year project.
Worth
though.
a try, yeah.
That'd be
We'll have to figure out what the spacing is on it so that we can determine how many that we need. I think the spacing at Ganshaw is pretty effective. I think if we mimic that at Waterworks.
Yeah, and if you just have them just along the road.
And I
not
would
throughout
say,
the park.
and I would say we could just continue the same spacing from Battle Alley over to Martha, but since they're oddly spaced going down Battle Alley, there's really nothing to follow.
Right.
They're all different spaces.
We would just have to do what makes sense for the,
Yeah, I think the ones in Battle Alley are put at strategic locations where they're not blocking a door or a driveway or
Yeah.
a window or.
right, which is what we would just do for Crapo.
Well,
What
if
do
you
we
wanted
want it to be?
yeah.
It's this long, how many, divided by how many? And
This looks like a good spot.
And then maybe we could take down that.
But the problem
Sodium
with
light.
putting along Martha is you still have to take into effect, you'll have overhead lights still for the parking lot.
Yeah.
You can't, there won't be enough lights from those decorative
No,
lights to
there
light the
isn't.
parking lot. So you-
No, yeah, and I
You
don't
still
think
would
that
have
we
to
should
have 'em.
spend the money in doing the entire parking lot because it's so much
All
more
I'm
to
saying
use
is
than
you
the
cannot
lampposts.
remove, so you're gonna have light competing with each other, cause you're gonna still have to have those Cobra lights, so it's gonna.
Yeah, I get what you say, but it's also more of just a decorative point, like,
In that case,
like
maybe
having
we,
a candle on the mantle, but you have a light overhead. It's just, it's more for, it's that
Ambiance.
ambiance, it's creating that
Yeah.
ambiance and making that feel like that's part of downtown.
well, in that case, maybe we could just get dummy posts and not put any light in them.
Yeah, don't wire
Then they
them.
wouldn't light up.
Well, then you just put. Well,
Just pretend.
Buy some candles.
LED batteries.
But I think it would be really nice to bring them down just like it is on Battle Alley, just stretch straight across, and then for the park to put them
along the
between-
front edge.
Not, I wasn't gonna say the front. Oh, yeah, between the parking lot and the park and the grass. Yeah,
Mhm.
exactly.
On Martha
Just
Yeah.
along.
Street or the other?
No, on this park,
On the parking lot.
but just along
In
the
the park.
parking lot. Yeah.
But in 10 feet into the park.
Mhm. Or even on, because it's higher elevation. Even
Yeah.
on the edge there.
I wouldn't want to put it in the parking lot because Brian will knock it over with a plow.
Fire truck will knock it over on
Or,
holiday.
yeah, or
Or
it'll
some
get in the way of
kid,
the
yeah.
bucket truck when we've got community play day or.
The fire truck.
Okay.
Yeah, but I
And-
would love to see that happen. I think that would be a really nice way to tie in Crapo Park to downtown.
Okay, we've been talking lampposts for a long time. Maybe we should
Yes, we have.
put a plan together. If you hear Jerry talking about lampposts for Alley Street, tweak his ear.
He said it's not this year.
Oh,
It's
okay.
not on
That's
this
been his
agenda.
pet project for a while, but I keep reprioritizing it.
Well, you have to plan ahead.
Beautification is important too.
So is Main Streets and water and sewer.
Yes.
Yes.
Tires.
So it's
said-
filling potholes.
I said two, mean TOO, in addition
All
to.
right. Reports.
But before we move
Oh,
on,
I'm sorry.
not to be a nag, but what, if anything, has been done about the water? I didn't notice they put some no trespassing signs up. They got that far. But
Well, that's because we had somebody trespass in there, so.
they what?
We had somebody trespass in there, that's why those signs were put back up.
So many trucks that what?
Trespass.
Oh, trespass. Maybe they could go a little further, knock it over. But they haven't done anything?
Yes, they have, but not so. That's still a discussion.
Okay. Well, they only have till April.
April?
Yeah, our first meeting in April is, I think, the deadline for them to submit a
Yep.
comprehensive
Fish and
plan.
cut bait, fellas.
The last update was we've got people involved, we've got people interested.
Yeah.
So
Kettering
same as the last two
University
meetings.
that was on
University of Michigan Flint, George Cullis and Bob Hoffman, they've been talking to some of the professors of like the historic preservation committees or departments at both of those schools. We actually had a meeting last Monday, or no, 2 days ago Monday. Everything's kind of melding together. But anyways, we had a meeting at the Holly Hotel, but the two main guests who were supposed to be presenting all this new and fun information about the schools getting involved with this project didn't show up.
Oh, great.
The colleges,
Yeah, Kettering and U of M Flint.
that's not promising.
No, the one of the professors or the head, whatever the head guy of one of the departments said he wasn't able to make it. The other one said he was running late and never showed up.
That's nice.
So, I'll go over that later.
So is that,
So the
it's stalled
demolition
right now?
funds, that's gonna be gone by April, correct?
No,
Or is that still gonna be?
No, it's
is
zero.
that still
The
gonna be
demolition
available?
funds were never appropriated. It was talked about, but there's still,
Oh, I thought they had a deadline.
I thought so too.
I'll plead the fifth.
May
Was it
1st.
just
There's hoops to jump
the estimate for the demolition?
Yes,
Or the,
and
alright,
it's
so
out.
it was,
Yes.
alright, so when is that expired?
That depends on the contractor if he wants to rescind his bid or not.
Okay.
And it's a local contractor, so I don't think they'll have an issue with that.
Wasn't there a permit that had like a deadline or something on it?
That we continually getting billed for, so that's an open permit.
Okay.
And every 2 weeks, the Water Resource Commission comes out and does an inspection. And we were out there one day, me and Jerry, and we caught him, so I know what he's looking for if we move forward with the demo. So there's not a lot of expense there, but there's a bill.
Reoccurring bill.
There's a recurring bill that every 3 months they send.
Is council aware that we're being billed for something?
Yes, there is an open soil erosion permit with the county, so.
Awesome. When's the next meeting
March
Uh,
7th.
for this topic with council?
Tomorrow, or
April
Tuesday.
was
Is it next Tuesday?
April was the deadline.
But they're supposed to give monthly updates.
Oh.
Yeah, every
Yeah,
month.
so next Tuesday. So yeah, at the first meeting of each month, they said they would come and give us an update, and then they have until the first meeting in April to present a comprehensive plan.
2 people this week have said to me, are you still on the park commission? Yes. When are they going to do something about that eyesore building? I said, hey, I've been trying for 20 years.
And we've been really intense on it the past 2, so.
Yeah. But I mean, this is somebody that's not involved in the park.
I know.
They just go by there every day. And one of them said, we don't want Holly to look like a poor town. And that is the gateway into Holly, and they see that crummy old building.
Well, and the road doesn't help any either. I mean, we need to get that. That road should be on our
But what
high
about parks? It's looking
priority
so
list for
pretty.
repaving. That should definitely be, or is that a Michigan road or an Oakland County road, or is that
No,
our
Broad Street is ours until just past this
past waterworks?
past Waterworks.
Okay, good,
Then it's all theirs.
good. So
Then the
let's
county takes over, yeah, then it becomes Milford Road.
right. Okay.
Right.
Well, good. I hope that's high on our priority list because there's that one section that's always underwater, and you never know if it's going to be a giant pothole or
Right.
just a puddle.
Well, the railroad tracks are scheduled to be fixed this summer, so.
Oh, good.
Oh, fixed?
Yes, because there's more than just a pothole problem there, the tracks are failing underneath there, that's why.
I'm not surprised.
So CNN's gonna be assisting with that too, correct?
They're gonna be.
Doing
it's
it.
all on them, yes.
Good.
Yeah, they're the one that they're going to close Broad,
They may
or are they going to do half at a time?
Yeah, or they may do
Can't
it on the
imagine they
weekend.
could close that.
Well,
They could
Broad
do
would
the
be
weekend
around
and then
Grand
sub.
Trunk, isn't it?
You
have to go
could.
the
I
other
mean,
way.
there's a
Yeah.
bypass. I mean, you can get around it.
That's Grand
Right.
Trunk goes east and west.
Yes,
Just
that
turn
is
left
Grand
on
Trunk.
It is,
Sherman.
Go down
Because
Junction
it took me
Street.
several phone
I'm
calls
thinking
to
the
get the
tracks
right
down.
Yeah,
at
person.
Milford Road.
yeah, because that
No,
track
no,
down
not
to
those.
7
No,
too
in
much.
town.
That's,
Yeah,
it's
no, in
rotten.
town.
That there's no way they could close
That's
that.
nuts.
They
Yeah, there's
can't
thousands
do,
of cars a day that come
It's like
through
a
there.
loop around.
Band-aiding it.
That guy's-
You've lived here longer. You
That
should know the
guy's
roads
yard.
better than me.
Did anybody else have any comments about waterworks before we move on to reports?
No, no.
Do you have any reports for us, Brian?
Just we're waiting for the weather to break. We'll start repairing picnic tables and get those back out there.
Okay.
Get another load of garbage cans to replace the ones that rotted out over this the last year and get those painted out. And we're ready for the weather to break like everybody else.
Amen.
I called Wham
Okay.
and we got a date, June 2nd. It's a Saturday.
Okay. Sounds like we just scheduled Parks Cleanup Day.
I tried May, but
June 2nd, did you say?
that's as soon as I could get.
Is that one van or two vans?
That's 2 vans and that's 28 people.
Yeah,
Oh my
all right.
goodness. All right.
Yeah.
So,
Wow,
Good job, girl.
yeah.
Normally that was the first weekend in June was when we did Project Pride, so if we want to do flowers or anything this year, that would be the.
Well, we got 2
I was
vans
gonna
worth
say,
of people.
28 people.
Yahoo.
Get us some flowers,
Not only
Joyce.
To paint,
Give me some money.
to paint the gazebo and
Yeah.
flowers.
Yeah. And anything else that falls in.
Paint the bridge at Waterworks.
We'll have to do when are we gonna do our walkthrough? We'll have to do that before then, obviously, so that we
Month
have
ahead of time,
a list
May.
of stuff we need to do.
Mm-hmm.
Do
Okay.
you know if the Moose is
So
gonna
we have to
do
inspect
the pots
So
again?
graffiti, you know.
That I
all
don't know.
jazz.
That's
Jerry
really
Walker.
pretty.
And divide up their crew.
Okay. What's
You
that?
want to do it just,
The
you want
pots
to
for the moves
do
that
it
they-
maybe the week
women's-
before?
They do the
Auxiliary.
big pots on the street.
Or do you want to do it before the May meeting so that we can schedule some, let's do it before the,
Let's get ahead of the curve.
Let's get it when it's warm.
I was going to say, I don't know.
William gets there at 9:30, is
Well,
that right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
at
9:30 to
Ganshaw.
3.
They'll all meet at Ganshaw.
Wow, 2 vans.
And I didn't even.
Get them to paint the poles.
It's probably like 9 o'clock. or
Those
something,
lamps.
a.m.
Man.
No.
Brush them and paint them.
Hopefully they send somebody
Before
tall,
they-
because otherwise you got to get on a ladder.
I'll need a ladder.
Those things
Why
are 8
can't
feet
we
tall.
use
You
the
can't
ladder?
paint the top. I'll make sure
They're
you know.
rusting.
Yeah, yeah. Oh no.
Put some fresh black paint on
Can
there.
you just
They'll look
brush paint those
amazing.
things?
Use a metal paint on it, yeah.
I mean, they don't need to be spray painted.
How are they rusting if they're cast aluminum?
They might
browning.
be. There might be corroding.
Yeah, they're oxidized probably.
I mean, aluminum still oxidizes, and
Yeah, that
and
was
it
the
gets
whole point of
flaky,
using
and the
that.
paint flakes off,
Right,
and
that is- I know.
What about a
Okay.
bath, a
oh, sorry, go
porta
ahead.
potty?
What's that?
Would we need a porta potty for 28 people then? Because last summer,
Yeah,
Well,
they.
by June,
they wanted
well,
to
we
know.
don't put one at Ganshaw, but the other parts, if we do anything at Lakeside or any of those, we'll have them all by then, so.
Last year, the guy running the show was, I mean, he was very accommodating, but he mentioned that, hey, you're bringing us to a place that there's no bathroom, and we got to send these people across to the Beacon and Bridge to use the
Yeah.
restroom.
I can schedule
Would it
one
be?
for that weekend.
I was going to say, would it be possible
that'd be good.
to plan on having one there
Yeah.
for the weekend? And,
Yeah. If they're gonna be working for
a good
hours,
point.
they need a bathroom.
right, and if we spend all day at Ganshaw,
right. That's a lot.
I think the reason they don't have one there permanently is just a site.
I agree.
Same.
I mean, I don't
Yeah.
Because all
disagree.
the other parks have them, so.
Yeah, but that
Oh,
would be
yeah.
very nice.
I think the other parks lend themselves more to spending more time there, though,
Yeah.
and
You'll
having
probably park
activities,
it
and people
on
just
the
go
very
there,
north
they sit
end.
there for lunch, and then they leave.
Well, hey, you get your
People
boardwalk
buy their
there, you
lunch,
might have
go to the
a whole
bathroom,
lot
and
more
then
foot
go
traffic
over
and
again.
activity at Ganshaw, so
Yes,
true.
that's a good point.
we'll have to find a way to put one there and make it invisible.
Okay, so
Well,
we.
it'd just be for that day, right?
Yeah,
Nice.
just for that day.
Okay, so let me change the name of this.
You can even just plop it down at the far north end.
Ooh.
It's not so,
Obvious.
Ooh.
yeah,
Man.
not right in the middle.
Okay, so if we're doing cleanup on June 2nd,
Mm-hmm.
that's before the June meeting. Do we want to do the walkthrough before the May meeting?
Yes.
If it's not freezing cold.
Bring your snuggies.
How about April 28th, the last weekend in April? That'll be the Saturday before the May Parks meeting.
Okay, on the Saturday? All right.
Or, I mean, I'm throwing a date out there. I got nothing on either one of those days. 28th,
What
we could
time
do
are
it
you
Sunday.
thinking?
We could
28 sounds good.
28th, 29th, Saturday, Sunday.
What time of day are
At
we
Sunday.
thinking? Noon? or sooner, or? I'm thinking noon because it might still be really cold out. At least we have the
In April?
sunshine. Maybe we'd have the chance of starts
Well,
to warm up.
And maybe we could be a little flexible,
11.
and if we have like a 70-degree April 21st, maybe we could all, you know, if during the week it's supposed to be warm one of those weekends, and then we find out it's supposed to snow the next weekend, and we'll send out an email to everybody, hey, let's do
So
it
I'll
this
just
weekend.
put it down for April 28th then for now then.
Okay,
Okay.
let's plan on the walkthrough at noon on the 28th, April.
Okay.
And where do you want to meet?
Either Ganshaw or Lakeside.
I'd say meet up at Lakeside.
Okay.
So, and we want to, because we pretty much know what we need to do at Ganshaw, right? So, but
Yeah, that's
Lakeside,
true.
we need to really look at what needs to be done, graffiti-wise, what needs to be painted.
You might want to make a good long run over at Lake or Waterworks too if you're planning on doing a bunch of stuff there.
I think you should look at Ganshaw, or the gazebo, first.
Well, we know what needs to be
We'll do
painted on the,
both,
on the
yeah.
gazebo.
Mm-hmm.
At,
It's on the
at
agenda.
Yeah,
Ganshaw.
that's a finish-up project.
Yeah,
But for
I
the
mean,
walkthrough to start it, we know
Mhm.
what needs to be done at Ganshaw, right, for the cleanup?
Painting.
But we don't know what all needs to be done at Lakeside. We may have to
I know,
slot
but
some
a
time
quick
there.
run-through wouldn't hurt. Seems
No,
that
it-
we're gonna have all those
Right.
people
yeah.
available.
And if we got two vans, that means we can potentially put them in two locations.
Yeah.
Can't split them up.
If you've got two vans, I think you can.
Yes, you can. They'll have
We
they'll have,
could-
If they
some
have
things
two
we could split
supervisors.
up.
Yeah,
Yeah.
they'll come with more
Yeah,
than one
because
supervisor.
each van will have a supervisor. We can
Yep.
split them up. We can put
and
one in.
you'll have to supply somebody to follow their supervisor with them.
Right,
So one
Right.
person can go and say, here's what we gotta do and keep everybody focused. So, yeah.
right. Great idea.
Yep.
Okay.
All right. Any final comments? Joe? Gail?
Summer's coming.
Amen.
Could we have that in writing?
Yes.
Yeah, that groundhog disagreed with you.
He's wrong 18% of the time.
Good thing.
No, he's right 18% of the time.
Right 18%.
So he's wrong most of the time.
Yeah.
Like a weatherman.
We'll eat him.
Huh?
Like a weatherman.
Yeah.
You gotta use an app.
Gail, anything further? Any comments?
No.
Do we need help with
Sir.
procuring more members?
Yes.
I guess we're
Well-
getting left again.
So I got a list, not a list, I got a packet of participation forms. So it would have been 2 weeks ago. I didn't have enough time to go through them and pick anybody to present at the last council meeting. So I didn't. So I haven't looked through them yet.
So you got
But we have a few
people who want-
volunteers. I think we have one of them here today who is interested.
Good.
Thank you.
And I received exactly one other email from somebody who was interested in being on the Parks Board, but that person I don't know, and I don't know what their background is, but they expressed an interest.
That sounds-
So
Okay, so then
so
is that a shoe-in? We only got two and we have two spots.
yeah, I'm gonna look through the rest of the.
I'm surprised Angie doesn't, because she's so
I know
faithful to come.
I know, and I'll reach out and see if that's something
and
she wants
goes to the
do.
parks. I mean, she knows what
Oh, I
she's
know.
doing.
She knows what's going on. So I'll reach out to her as well.
I did. reach
Yeah, I
out to
know.
her.
Yeah. I saw the. So
She said no.
I suggested she'd have to replace herself in the peanut gallery, though.
yeah, she'd have to send somebody in her place.
We'd have no public comment.
All right, there'd be nobody watching.
No, but she really does watch the parks.
Yeah, I don't.
and-
She just kind of.
Yeah, and she
laughed
knows
at
what's
it
going
when I
on.
said you should come. You should join the parks, and she said, "Fine, that's
Be one of us.
appreciate the suggestion, but she."
And then
said
and that was as far as it went. She dropped off after that.
Well.
Excuse me.
Dave, any final comments?
It's been great serving with you guys.
You're-
Keep doing what you're
Enjoyed
doing.
having you.
You're a jerk.
This is on public
You're
record.
leaving.
This is on public record, so you know.
Holly area
Just for the
TV.
record, nobody's going to listen.
I watch the streams. I watch quite a
But
few
you were
of our
here.
streams. Not just this. I'm talking about. I watch all the
We're not
streams.
streaming this, are we?
Yeah, it's right there.
What?
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Say hi.
You're on camera.
TV.
Seriously.
Yeah, oh yeah, all the meetings are
We're live
streamed.
streaming right now.
You could have led with that.
Oh, I thought everybody knew about that.
It's
I
also
thought
filmed, it's not just.
all
No,
of
it's
the
filmed,
yes,
it's
all
recorded
of the
and live streamed.
Well,
Yeah.
shoot, why didn't
So
you
we're
tell me
on.
that? I combed my
So
hair.
if
We're
you
on
want to
YouTube.
watch, if you want to watch all of our nonsense later,
we're on YouTube.
we're on YouTube.
Chris,
Did that
Yes,
just
sir.
Say hello
start?
to YouTube world.
Beginning of the year.
Hi, YouTube.
Oh, for heaven's sakes.
Chris, one other person that used to be on Parks was Lori Lacey too.
I quit.
Oh yeah, Lori
Yeah,
does
she
a lot.
comes quite often.
Yep.
Yeah, she's always here too.
Why are you?
Personal reasons.
You're not supposed to ask that question.
Okay, we won't.
Joyce,
On
did you have
public
any-
record.
do you have any?
No, I
Anything?
think we've covered everything.
Okay, and I didn't have anything else to. We went through all of my notes and comments.
Get home early.
So we will call the meeting at 8:06.
All right.
Hey, Chris, did you find out anything about that cell charger bench?
So we're picking